Let me see. We're going.
All right, hang on.
Oh, we're live.
I just put us live, so let's see if that kicks on. Nope.
No.
We're getting errors.
No. What you say?
It's saying live
now.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we are live. We are live and in charge here on YouTube. So we are now live, Stacy. I love technical glitches.
Craig, sorry about that. Not sure what happened, but thank you so much for being here, Murali, Phil, and Craig. Glad that we're finally joining here, but thank you again for joining. And if you're not already on the YouTube live session here, please do so join so that we can get your comments and your questions and feedback as we go through today's session. So it will be recorded and replayed for us or ready for us afterwards to watch again. But over to you, Craig, as we get started.
We've got the demo jam coming up in Bangalore at the SAP Tech Ed event, and it is an all live, no slides, 6 teams, 6 minutes. I'm just going to get all the technical glitches out of the way before we get to Bangalore. So I am just adding up the technical glitches and we're good to go. So hopefully everybody can hear us in the chat okay. We apologize for the late start. We're just having a lot of fun with tech here lately. But my name is Craig, and I am here to talk about what's new and the community migration. And I am absolutely thrilled to have Phil and Murali here join me in this call. So we're really excited to have extra folks here joining. And we want to talk about what's going on with the SAP community, in particular about the migration to start with. And of course, that means it is time for you, if you have not already done so, to get your universal ID. Why is this important? It is important because when we do our full migration, which will start at the end of November, the beginning of December, we're going to be migrating. We're going to be picking up that 2 million Q&A content. We're picking up those 150,000 blog posts, and we're going to be depositing them into the same environment that we're currently using that we refer to as our groups environment. And we're going to share a little bit about the group stuff today because there's a lot of really cool, exciting features in there if you haven't already seen them. But as we pick all this stuff up and everything like that, we want to make sure that we have you with us. And that means we need you to have your universal ID, because once we're there, universal ID is how you log in. So speaking of logging in, to get started today, very simple, super easy. We have a group area called groups.community.sap.com, or if you go to the community.sap.com, there's a group option in the menu at the top. Little silhouette icon of a person, click it, you can log in. And if you haven't done this before, it'll take your existing community login, your existing SAP login, and it'll ask you for a username, which is actually more like a display name. So for example, I use Craig Schmehill. I could use C Schmehill. I could use a lot of social media. As I said on the other live stream earlier today, I could use my gamer handle. It actually fits. There's enough characters. My gamer handle, I use Smurfy Dragon. But of course, nobody would know who I am unless you play Minecraft and things like that as well. So of course, I use Craig Schmehill. That way you can easily find me in the community. All right. And if we jump in a little bit, what's really super interesting today is we've just launched a whole brand new area called What's New. Now, this area is a area where we will share all sorts of wonderful information and great tips and tricks and new things coming into the community. Our own Jerry Janda is authoring a lot of the content in there, and he would love for every single one of you to subscribe to it. And the reason this is so important is because going forward, every time we have new changes to the platform, new features being announced, any maintenance or shutdowns or temporary offlines or anything like that will also be announced. We have the banner for the really big things, like currently the banner is there about our privacy statement. But of course, as we get closer to migration, we'll be putting banners up for all this stuff. But there will be more and more details in the what's new area. So I highly, highly, highly say everybody subscribe to the what's new so you can stay in touch. And if you had subscribed, you would have seen the launch of our new artificial intelligence and machine learning group, which has stuff in there about SAP Joule already. So you can get a great look at that. It also talked about new groups that are launching, new tags, how the tags became mandatory inside the area, and of course, everything that we are doing around migration. So great area to subscribe to and stay informed. All right, what do we got? And of course, center stage, I am joined on this call by two of our SAP champions who are actually both far, far away from me in a whole different hemisphere on the other side of the planet. And that is Phil Cooley and Murali, who have agreed to join me, deal with my slapstick craziness at midnight here in Germany to help share all their thoughts and ideas around, of course, the SAP Champions, the community, and in particular, location-based groups, which is an area we'd love to focus on today. Next slide. Yeah, there we go. All right, so Phil, Murali, we have got groups, both of you are active in these areas already. I would love to hear a little bit from both of you. And I think the audience would love to know who you are first. So how about we start with Phil? Introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump over to Murali. Sound good?
Yeah, thanks, Craig, and great to be here this morning. Yeah, I think I've been in the SAP sort of community and in the SAP stratosphere, I guess, for 25 plus years, a long time. And yeah, just been a member of the SAP community for a really long time. And yeah, I think for me, yeah, my background is SAP functional consulting and helping customers get the best out of SAP software, whether that be ERP or more recently BTP. That's sort of yeah, sort of what you know I work on a daily basis, and really passionate about helping others, which is why I joined the SAP community and try and contribute as much as I can. So maybe Murali, you want to?
Thank you very much, and yeah, thanks Craig and team for having both of us join the community call. Like as Craig mentioned, I'm based out of Sydney. I've been a member of the SAP community since 2005, and I think back then it was called SAP Developer Network. And I've seen the platform transition, from SDN to SCN to SAP Community, and I still have access to all those contents and connections that I made initially. Now I love traveling, exploring new places. I have two boys, they keep me busy when I'm not at work. But when I'm at work, I lead a team of BTP customer success partners across APJ and GCN region in SAP. And focus is all around driving adoption of business technology platform in the region. So when I was earlier discussing with Stacy, one of the things that she was asking me was, what is it that brings you to SAP community every day? For me, what I have done is, though things changed over the last few years as to how I've approached SAP community and how I keep myself active. Over the last few years, what I've been doing is I've been following some of the SAP tags, and every time someone puts a blog post with those tags, like for example, SAP build process automation, I get a notification in my inbox. And every time I start my day in the morning, before I open my work related stuff, I first make sure to spend some time with the SAP community, check out what people are posting today. And particularly, I also follow some of the product managers to make sure I'm able to get up-to-date features or updates that are coming into some of the services. And also there are members that I follow who are happy to always share their experience as to how they're using some of the technology in their landscape. So that's the way I keep myself up to date and make sure that I am on top of what's happening within the community.
I think that's a good, yeah, I think it is good. Like you're mentioning, when you subscribe to the different tags and different areas, whether it be SAP Build Process Automation, whether it be SAP Build Work Zone, it is good sort of seeing all that content come through. We lead busy lives, so that's a really good way of just having these things in your inbox. And when you receive it, it definitely is a topic of interest. You can just jump straight in, consume the content, and yeah, use it on a regular basis. So really good.
Fantastic. All right. And our groups have a lot of things going on right now. And there's a lot of different areas in the groups. There's a lot of different functionality in the groups. And there's a lot of things you can do in the groups. What are some of the things that the two of you like to do today? Because this is a great way to get ready for the migration, is to already get active in the environment that we're going to be so you can get familiar with it and everything like that. So what are some of the other things that you guys are seeing or doing? I know both of you are pretty active in the location-based area. And of course, the location-based area is a big area I'd love to focus a little bit on. Can you guys talk about the groups, the specific ones that you guys are interested in, or how should I say, quite active in? Let's put it that way.
Probably you could just stay on the previous slide. I could just share my perspective. So when it comes to these groups, and myself and Phil, yeah, we are more engaged in some of the location groups. Phil is based out in Melbourne and I'm based out in Sydney. So we've both taken an initiative and we work along with community members to make sure we are able to get the respective location group up and running and people are able to contribute and collaborate in those things. Apart from the location groups, what we've also been spending time is there are activity groups where you have specifics related to tech ed or core jams where you want to know more about it. So there's activity groups that we sometimes also go and have a look at what's happening in those areas. And also what I really liked about is the interest groups where you have, again, particularly related to certain topics, whether it is SAP builders or whether it is enterprise architects. There are groups where you can go in and participate and get to know more about those things. But in general, yeah, myself and Phil, yeah, we spend most of our time in location groups. It's a great place for us to go in and start discussions, share our experience, and also ask for feedback. What are community members thinking about? Something that is becoming popular right now in the market. We want to get a pulse of what people locally are also thinking about, and it's a great way to connect and engage with the local folks. Phil, you want to add to?
Yeah, I think same thing. I think sharing what's happening in the Melbourne area locally. There is a lot of, since COVID, it's been tricky sort of getting people back together, but this is a really good way to bring everyone into the SAP community via the location groups. And we're steadily building the numbers. So people are sort of looking at what's happening, any discussions, any events that are happening. And also I actually like having a look at some other location groups as well. As Murali would know, there's a healthy competition between Melbourne and Sydney usually. So, it's good. It's good seeing what Sydney are up to, and also other places around the world. I know, like Murali was saying, the different interest group, the activity groups of code jams and stuff. I've seen a lot of activity in the code jams. And I don't think we had one in Melbourne. I'm not sure. I know there was one in Sydney and I think Brisbane, but it's just getting, you can use them to get some ideas about other type of events you may want to run in your location as well. So, and that's what the other location groups for me as well do. It's good to keep in contact with your mates around the world, seeing what they're up to and keeping in contact and seeing what is happening, on other parts of the world, because I think together, we can really learn from each other and just help make the SAP community a really brilliant, engaging place.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
the way the groups are organized is also pretty easy. As you can see on the screen, we have these boards which are at a regional level. And once you click onto Asia Pacific, then you get to see all the location groups within that particular region. And I think it's also important to note that you don't need to sometimes log in to get access to everything. You could straight away go and explore and see what is going on in each of the groups. All these groups or these location groups are public, which means anyone can get access to it and join those groups. Since as Phil was mentioning, sometimes I also I travel to Melbourne and I participate in events there. So I want to be on top of what's happening in Melbourne. So even though I'm not located, nothing stops me from going into the Melbourne group and joining that particular group and getting to know what community members out there are doing.
I've been doing that right now just with the Bangalore group, since I'll be there in 2 weeks for the SAP Tech Ed event. So completely understand how you guys are using that. But let's take a closer look at the Melbourne group. So somebody comes to the Melbourne group, and then what?
Yeah, so the key thing is when you get to that page, you've got a summary of what the group sort of intentions are. So we've got staying informed to local SAP community events, getting to know your colleagues, sharing knowledge, building connections, and then you can see the icon there to join. So when you join, there's a whole bunch of additional functionality that's sort of you get access to, and then you can get more engaged by responding to blog posts and commenting and providing kudos to some of the discussions and blog posts that have been created. So as you can see, Murali, did you want to cover some of the different types of options you can do in the location group?
Yeah, I think primarily there are two key things I would say the group members get to participate in. One is which is being to create a discussion. Either they start a brand new discussion or they look at existing discussions and contribute and be able to respond to those things too. So when creating a discussion, you also have options to have tags as well as labels, which is again a great way for you to be able to search for these contents at a later stage, based on either tags or labels. I have seen again members in the Sydney group, they have raised discussions. For example, when DataSphere was released, there were questions around what is going on with DataSphere. Are people actually in the local community out here actually using DataSphere? And there were discussions going around that topic. And then I've seen also in the Melbourne group, there was questions around or discussions around the business rules versus decisions as to how people are receiving such functionality and being able to address certain requirements in that topic. So it's good to see discussions used as a way to connect with other members in the community and get to see what their thoughts are.
Oh, fantastic.
Good to see
I love it.
Good to see the diverse sort of, diverse experiences coming in and diverse viewpoints on all of those sort of topics. So it's a really good way to start a conversation, and like every conversation, like the SAP DataSphere, you sort of learn a lot of things. And in the post around decisions and business rules, it's good to also know how people are using both of those, sort of in an application build sense.
All right.
Excellent.
And
the next key thing that I wanted to also highlight is apart from the discussions, is the ability to also create blog posts. So this is something that group members will have access to when they join a group, to be able to go in and share their thoughts as a blog post. And again, there's abilities to add a cover photo, attach some documents, and also if you have multiple authors, you want to co-author along with them, you have options to add them to along with it. One thing to note here is that members, when they submit a blog post, it goes through a review process and needs to be approved through the group curators.
And the group curators are actually listed and when you join the group, you'll see who they are and everything like that. So you're also able to reach out and ask for advice or suggestions and things like that. So I think that's really great. All right, what else can we do?
I mean, in the Sydney group, we heavily, use the blog capabilities to promote events that we're running. So over the last 6 months or so, we've been running a lot of community events, right from code jams to tech hub events. I think we're also going to be running a tech head watch and code party. There's also upcoming enterprise architect community meetup also happening. All these are free events, a great opportunity for local members to come together, connect with like-minded people, and be able to get the knowledge, by discussing common topics. And that's one of the key things that I have seen coming out of, the Sydney location group. There's also ability for people to connect with community members one-on-one, as a private message, if they want to be able to get to know them and probably have some questions that they have that they want to get clarified. That's a way, again, that they could also reach other community members. Phil, what's on your mind? I mean, what are your thoughts in terms of how members can get started when they get into a location group?
Yeah, I think looking through the discussions like we're talking about, I wrote a blog post many years ago around like, follow, comment, or like, comment, follow, repeat. So similarly, the location groups, so yeah, similar to that. If there's discussions there, give the content a kudos, and just give an indication to the author that the content's that's really good. What that does is just allow the author to know certain topics that are really that people are interested in, so that other SAP community members can have a look and go, okay, that's an interesting topic. I might also write, start other discussions. So it's a sort of repeatable process throughout SAP community members. And then also commenting, if there's a discussion there, provide your view on, what do you feel about, decisions versus business rules and content like that. What are your thoughts on SAP DataSphere? And then also, I guess the follow situation is the tags. So subscribe and look through the tags to just get that content that Murali was talking about at the start, to get them into your inbox. And so you can sort of look through that content and get up to speed with what's going on, because there's always, there's a lot of stuff going on usually. So it's good to keep, definitely technology moves very quickly. So yeah, it's good to, keep up to date with everything these days, especially, some of those new topic areas like AI, generative AI and so forth. It's crazy how quick that's moving. So, but yeah, those kinds of things. And you know what? Put up your hand to write a blog post. Share that expertise with your SAP community members and colleagues. I think, I've really enjoyed writing blog posts myself. I think it makes you feel good to give back to the SAP community and write about topics that you may know a little bit more on than others. So you share that knowledge, and then that builds capability throughout the whole SAP community. So I think, I think there's some of the things I like, and I've seen other SAP community members do in the SAP community.
Yeah, and on the topic of the AI, I did notice Craig did share in the updates that there is also an special interest an interest group for AI. So again, people really want to follow that particular topic, be up to date on what's going on there, it's again a great place to go and join the group and be part of it. And again, this slide summarizes, what are some of the key reasons why you would want to join these community groups, in particular location groups. Though we have we enjoy being part of this big happy global virtual community family, there's still a lot of benefits that community members get when they're connecting and interacting with the local member, right from being able to meet them online, where you get to connect with like-minded technology enthusiasts. As I mentioned earlier, there's also an ability to connect and have private messages with them to get to know or ask anything directly with them. That's a way you could connect with them, participate in any of those existing discussions that are going, or if you have a topic in mind, you could start your own discussion and people will contribute to it. And my favorite part is actually getting a bit more engaging, where you are going to physical events where you actually get to meet such people that you're interacting with on the community, getting to meet them in person, having that connection. That's really something I value a lot, because those things actually go a long way in helping building those long-lasting relationships. I have been in the community for a long time, and I've seen so many individuals who contributed selflessly, and I've been fortunate to also travel around many places and meet some of those people in events like TechEd, and I'm always thrilled to meet them physically and be there and get to understand their perception as to how they see the community and how they contribute, what's the value that they get out of it, and also be assured that there is someone that I could also reach out to when I need some guidance or feedback on topics that I'm thinking of.
I think the other thing with the local events too, being Melbourne based, obviously I've joined the Sydney group as well. And when the SAP Stammtisch events are scheduled, there's been a few times where I've been lucky enough to actually be in Sydney for those times. So I've actually been able to go as well. So even if you're not there, it's sort of located in that local area, if you're traveling, you can jump into those local events, by being in the SAP community groups and just looking through that content and subscribing to it and joining those groups. So so like Murali was saying, meeting other people around the world with those opportunities, I think is like that last statement, the lifelong relationships, I think is something valuable. I think, especially what's happened over the last few years. It's great to have that.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Absolutely. It's lifelong relationships definitely being built in the community perspective. There's folks that I've known for 20 years now. I guess that's crazy to think. It's 20 years that we've been doing this in the community. This is amazing stuff. All right. So, and there's change. We're always change. There's so much change. Murray, you mentioned SDN, SCN, SAP Community. I even remember why it went from SDN to SCN, right? It was SDN, and then Business Objects got acquired by SAP and became part of their community. Then we had the business process experts, and that became part of the community. And then we said, it's not just developers anymore, so we got to change it. And then we try to simplify and everything like that. So lots of things going on. And of course, we have our big giant migration coming. And we did have some slides. Those slides disappeared on us. It's been a fun technical day. Gotta love tech. Absolutely fantastic. But we also want to make sure that we reserve time in today's live stream to talk about the migration, to talk about what's coming, to talk about what's there, and of course, to answer any and all the questions that all of you have. And that's why we're doing this. And we invited our friends and our fellow SAP champions here to join us, because I know that they also have potentially questions and things like that, or others are asking them about it, and that they want to be able to bring those questions forward as well. If you want to ask a question, you can do it in the chat. You need to sign into YouTube to be able to post the question, but you're more than welcome to do so. And of course, if we don't get to it or you're not able to do it today, we also have a discussion thread in the SAP community where you can post your questions and we'll follow up, of course, there. For me personally, I want to make sure everybody gets all their questions answered as best as possible. And that's why we're doing these live streams, why I'm up at midnight to do a live stream to make sure we're accommodating as many time zones as possible. But with that said, I want to open it up to questions. So Phil, Murali, I want to ask you first, do you have any questions about the migration, things that I can help answer or things that others have asked you to bring to the call to ask me as well? So over to you, both of you.
I think my first question is, the migration of blog posts and questions and answers and so forth. That content's all coming across, right? Is that sort of piecemeal or big bang, or what's the approach with that?
So we're actually in our third test migration right now. We're about to finish up the third test migration. We'll have a fourth test migration probably starting next week, probably on Monday. So we are in the process of testing scripts and everything like that about moving the content. And what we're doing is we're basically picking up all 2 million and some questions and answers that we have. And we're picking up all the 150,000 blog posts, and we're then bringing them over and depositing them into the same platform that we've been talking about, the groups platform. So when you come after the migration to community.sap.com, you'll land on the whole new environment. At the top right now, today, it says products, groups, and what it will say in the future is products and technology, groups, and so on. And then what we're going to be doing is you will have under the products and technology area, we're really excited about this because we're actually applying a somewhat of a structure. So we'll have our CRM, our HCM, our PLM, spend management, finance, ERP, and technology areas. So there'll be 8 major categories, and in each one of those categories, you'll be able to get to the Q&A. So if you're heavily invested in, for example, finance, you can go into the finance category and you'll have your Q&A, you'll have your blogs by SAP, you'll have your blogs by members, and you'll be able to take care of all those things. And then you can actually subscribe to that area as well. So we're picking up and bringing over, I won't say we're bringing over all the content. We are doing a bit of house cleaning. 20 years of community, there is a little few things in the corners that maybe not apply anymore. We've done a few migrations over the years. So of course, we probably won't bring some of the migration related stuff from previous migrations because we don't want to confuse the audience if they start searching for migration content or migration information and then they find something from 2016 or they find something from 2010 or something like this. So we are going to do some cleanup, but the majority of the content is being brought over. The majority of all the things that you've done will still be represented, still be identified and related.
So the likes and the comments and so forth, they all migrate across as well?
Yep, comments, replies, likes, all of that stuff gets migrated and brought over as well. Again, except for the area where we've done some cleaning and dusting and cleaning up the cobwebs. Yeah. So, but yeah, otherwise, if a question comes over and it has an answer and like 20 comments, all of that comes, including all the likes and everything like that as well.
So from a SAP community member's point of view, before and after the migration, there'll be different sort of, it sounds like there's different menu options and a few more areas to filter through, giving you more options and more channels to subscribe to and so forth. Okay. Yeah, I'm just sort of putting it in a SAP community member's perspective, what they'll see, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So right now, today, you can subscribe to a tag. Both of you have talked about subscribing to tags, and you get that. Now, what happens, though, is if you are somebody who is very interested in an entire area of something, for example, what if you're interested in everything and all content related to CRM? Now you can either subscribe to all those individual tags, or going forward, to make this easier for you, you can actually subscribe to the CRM category and get all of the blog posts, all of the questions, all of the answers and everything. And you can still then fine tune that by going into the individual tags as well. So we're actually making this, or our hope is to make this even easier for individuals to subscribe. So we have, PLM, product lifecycle management, or supply chain management, or something like this, where we want to make sure that they have the ability to gather it all and be able to focus, but also then deep dive into the specific areas as well, like you do today, right? But we want to add that extra classification on top to help everyone consume a little bit more.
I think that's good, because if I look at a topic like SAP BTP, we can subscribe to that area, but the amount of additional topics within that is quite big. So
yeah,
that's good for members to be able to have the options to choose at the top level or the individual level. So my last question before I give Murali a chance to ask a few is so what can SAP community members do to contribute to the successful migration? Is there anything they need to keep in mind through this activity?
Two things that every single member in the community can do right away to make life easier for themselves and to help us make sure we have an even better migration than we do before. First off, get your universal ID, link your accounts, connect your accounts to make sure all of your content is all together, and go to the group's environment that we have today and log in that first time. Set your username, the display name, the Craig Schmayhill, type of thing. You can change it, right? So if I wanted to be Craig Schmayhill this week, I could be just Schmayhill next week. I'm very fortunate. I'm probably one of the only people with my last name in our field. So I could use my last name if I wanted to. You can always change that as a user. So that's the first thing that you can do today. Universal ID, link your accounts, make sure your content's all together, and log in for that very first time. The second thing, and this is one that's probably underestimated quite often, is if you have a question, do not hesitate to ask us. Make sure if you have a question, whether you ask it by logging into YouTube right now and posting your question, whether you go into the community, into the forum and ask it. Because if you have it, there's a possibility that other people have the same question. And if you're worried, or you think that, oh, well, somebody else will ask this eventually, or I'm sure they'll tell me later on, you run the risk that maybe we forget, maybe we don't recognize, maybe we don't acknowledge. So please, the best thing that you can do next to logging in and getting your universal ID is, if you have a question, take the 2 minutes to ask it, right? That's the best thing that you can do. That will help us be able to do the migration and effectively make sure that we provide all of the necessary information to all of you out there in the community.
Thanks, Craig, for that. Yeah, makes sense. And yeah, pretty easy, it sounds like.
Honestly, it's super simple. But it's amazing how much those two actions will actually just completely change your migration experience.
Yeah, agree. And again, from my perspective too, I mean, probably the most common question is around the universal ID, and I see again you already touched that today. Another topic that I also like to ask is around, is there a plan to have some sort of a rewards for contributions for community members? Like in the past, we had concept of these leaderboards, and I think every month or so we used to promote and recognize people for their contributions. I mean, is there a plan to do something like that when we move into the new platform?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're really excited about is the platform actually has a lot of built-in gamification, reputation type systems in place. First off, we're going to make sure that any badge that you've already received today will actually be there in the future system as well. So you're not going to lose any of those badges. So you're going to get that acknowledgement. Second is the platform actually has what's called a rank ladder. And if you're there today, you'll see it says like cosmic and galactic and things like this. But we're going to be completely revamping that. And it's going to be revamped with the idea of recognizing where our audience has gotten to in the 20 years of community, right? And then still with room to grow so that, if you land near the top, you know that the next target's already there, that you have that motivation to go. And then with that, you'll of course, very coolly, we will be able to actually give additional permissions, right, for different things. I'll give a couple of hints of things that we're thinking about. Once you hit a certain level, maybe you get invited to a special group that only the top contributors have access to, so that you get special information, you get extra access, you get extra, connection to the team and everything like that. You get high enough up and you get recognized and acknowledged for the possibility of becoming an SAP champion yourself, just like the two gentlemen with me today are. And so there's a lot of different things that we can do there. But I always also have to point out, and I did talk about this on our call earlier today as well, recognition or rewarding is also in you, right? Each one of us thinks differently about why we do what we do, why we take that time. So we also know and we acknowledge that we're not going to be able to make every single person happy, because some people they want a little bit of swag, they want a pin, they want a t-shirt, they want something. Other people just want to be recognized and acknowledged with our leaderboards, which we'll be launching again. We'll have leaderboards where you can follow along, see the top active people. Other people won't want that public recognition. They'll want something else. So we, from the community perspective, are exploring all of the possibilities, what's available to us. We want to make sure that we don't isolate or limit ourselves to just the platform. We want to think beyond that as well. Like our SAP Champion program is something beyond the platform, right? We find all of you, we do cool things. We had the Global Running Day and other activities. And we want to make sure that we find those activities and those things that everybody in the community will appreciate and really like to be involved with, because we know that each person does these things for different reasons, and we want to try to acknowledge that as best as possible. It also makes it challenging, right? Because sometimes we'll do something and somebody's like, I can't be bothered with that, or I don't like that, or it's no fun. And other times, like our Devtoberfest event, which just finished, that had millions of interactions and everything like that. So we're really excited about some of these things. And that's what we're doing. We want to explore. But again, that's where our SAP champions, like the two gentlemen here, are just going to really help make the community a much better place, because we're going to be doing this together with all of you, right? One thing I've learned of doing community for as long as I have is that it only works when the audience is participating with you. And we also acknowledge and understand that some people come to our community because they have a problem. They have an error message. They're trying to get their job done, and there's a problem, and they come and they want an answer, and they're just grateful that somebody gave them an answer, but they may not also be coming back, and that's okay. Right? So we also have to build and think about our environment and what we do in terms of recognition and rewards, knowing that we're not addressing the entire community, like our 3.5 million people that come to the community every month. We're not addressing all of them, right? We're addressing targeted areas. And for each of those targeted areas, we want to try with our new platform and the new capabilities that we have, as we hit those different levels in the rank, we want to be able to find the right thing for that level that really is going to motivate that group of people, right? And then we're going to break it down like that. So there's a lot coming, and there's a lot that we're still figuring out, right? So just open transparency, we don't have all the answers yet. we're looking at it. We're working on it. And of course, we need to get in there first with everybody with us so we can see how it all looks and how people react and interact and everything like that. And honestly, yeah, we're going to have people who are not happy with the change, things that they don't like. And that's okay. Not everybody has to be 100% happy, but we're going to do our best to find the right combinations of things. And so we're really excited that you both, for example, are with us on this journey, and as with our other SAP champions as well. So fun times ahead for sure.
Yep. Thanks, Craig. I think, I mean, I'm excited and I'm looking forward to, these
Me too.
changes to the new platform.
Me too. Me too. This is fun. This is exciting. I love change as it is. But when we do change that brings so many extra positive features and functionalities to our audience, that's really cool, right? That's really fun stuff. And we know not everybody's going to be happy, but I think all in all, I think we're making the right steps forward, and we're excited for it.
I did think of one more question just while we've been discussing.
All right, let's do it.
As I said before, I do like writing. So I usually start blog posts because I have an idea and I've sort of, I've probably got a fair number in draft. I'm assuming those also come across, Craig, if I've got some blog posts in draft? No. Oh, okay.
If it's not,
All right,
it's an absolutely great question. Did not even think about it. No, the plan right now is if something's been is in draft mode and it might not have been, because we're not going to know. Is it in draft mode because you're done with it, or you're in draft mode because you're not going to continue it? Is it in draft? What? So we need to make sure that the content that's coming is published content. So for example, people delete things inside the platform as well. And that deleted stuff goes into the trash bin that is then still available in case we need to retrieve it. We're going to be purging the trash bin, and we're going to be leaving the drafts behind. So yes, great question.
Good to know,
if you have
actually.
content in draft, you're going to want to make sure that you collect that. And honestly, like I said earlier, we're going to be cleaning house a little bit. Every one of you have the ability in the community to go to people.sap.com and log in, and you can actually, through the settings, you can go down and download your data, right? So you can download all of your, but I think that's also published content. I'm not 100% sure. So your draft stuff, you may still have to manually capture, but you can still go down and download all your content as well if you want. But yeah, we're going to be cleaning. Trash is going to be purged. And of course, if it's not published, we're not taking it. Because what do we do
good to know,
it?
Actually, because I come up with a lot of ideas usually. So I just start writing a blog post, and then time happens and I don't get time to finish it. So good to know. I'll go in there and make sure I grab some of that draft content so that I can, publish that in the future. So thanks,
Excellent.
Craig, for sharing that.
Oh, well, I'm thank you for asking the question. Like I said, it's that little thing, and you may think, they'll tell me if I need to do something.
Ask the question,
Ask the question.
Yep. Yeah.
Take the opportunity. We didn't plan that, right?
No, we didn't.
I'm sure somebody's going, they set that up.
They set it up. No, sorry. Yeah. No, I just thought about it while I was. Yeah. While we talked about it, I was thinking, wait a sec, I've got a whole lot of drafts. What happens to those? So, yeah.
So one thing I will say is we are going to be reaching out to, blog authors and things like this where, maybe they have a blog post like I do. I have blog posts from 2003 that I don't actually think anybody's looked at in like 5 years, right? It means something to me just because I wrote it, 20 years ago and it's like my first post in the platform or something, but nobody
can't delete that. Surely there's a poster at home in a frame with the.
There will be.
Yeah.
I'm going to download my content, and I will have my content then for me But yeah, I don't expect that stuff to come with me across.
Yeah.
But for anybody that we are targeting, that content like that hasn't been viewed or hasn't been looked at, we will be reaching out to all of the community members just to let them know, hey, by the way, go to your profile settings and you can download your data and everything like that. We want to make sure that people have the opportunity to get it. But again, if they don't, they don't. We're not going to be able to, handle all of it. And one of the other things that everyone can do is tell your friend, tell your coworker, hey, by the way, the SAP community is migrating. Make sure you log in and get your data and make sure you get your universal ID and everything like that, right? So that will help.
Yeah,
I think that's one thing I've always loved about. Oh yeah, go Murali. Yeah.
Sorry, that's good. Yeah, just a question. Another question on the same topic is, like over the last many years, we SAP have deprecated a lot of the solutions, and there's a lot of technical articles on those solutions. And do we plan to even migrate them along?
If the content is still being viewed, meaning people are searching for it, people are looking at it, we definitely don't want to lose that content for sure, right? But if there's something there that nobody's looking at, nobody's looked at for ages, then we're going to really debate whether or not we need to bring that content along, right? It's 20 years of data. It's 20 years of data with 150,000. Just thinking about the blog post by this, 150,000, right? I've got like 800, and I know at least half of those no one looks at anymore, because some of those are me as a community advocate for SDN, telling everybody about the next event coming up or the next feature that we just published on a platform that doesn't even exist anymore, right? So do we really need that content?
Makes sense.
Right? We need to clean house a little bit. We need to clean it up a little bit. We need to be responsible about how we clean it up, but we will do some cleanup and we will contact those authors.
Right.
Yep. All right. So we'll pause for a moment just to see. There's always the delay between us talking and then what happens in YouTube. I've got my phone next to me watching the YouTube chat. We'll wait a minute just to see if there's any comments or questions that come into the chat. Otherwise, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this call. We're right there at the top of the hour. It's been a wonderful call. Thank you so much for the questions. I'm hoping the audience got great insights out of this. And if you're watching this on replay, hopefully you got great insights out of this as well. And if you still have a question, again, we have the thread in the community where you can ask. You can also email community@sap.com, and we'll do what we can to help you there as well. So we'll take that 30-second pause for the YouTube to catch up. And if nothing's there, we'll say goodnight or have a great day, because it's daytime for you guys, isn't it? It's the morning, right?
Yes, our day has just started.
Yeah,
started.
my outside is completely just dark. All dark. All right. And with that said, then, gentlemen, thank you so much. Everyone watching, thank you. Take care and have a great rest of your day. And the next community migration call will be in 1 month. We're doing a monthly all the way up and through the migration into the new year. So please, if you have questions, you can join us on these, or again, catch us in the community at community.sap.com or email at community@sap.com. All right. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. See ya.